you to watch it. He just wanted somebody in there. I mean, I think I'm only paying like $800 a month.
For a house?
For a house.
Damn good.
Two-bedroom house, had a basement, fireplace. It was sweet. It was a nice deal.
Shit, I might have to move there.
Almost there, huh?
Oh yeah. Page 198, Tao of Jeet. We got 10 more pages, man. The difference between an expert and a novice fighter is that the expert makes use of each opportunity and follows up on each opening. He makes use of his sensitive and dominating aura and his imposing rhythm. He delivers his blows and or kicks in a well-planned series, each opening creating another, until finally a clean shot is obtained. Some blows seem to be follow blows in that they come after certain leads. For instance, the straight left is a follow blow for the right jab, and a right hook is a follow blow for the straight left.
He's differentiating between the expert and the novice, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. It seems natural to punch straight and then hook, and it seems natural to punch first to the head and then to the body. Follow blows or setups have rhythm and feel as their basis. Punching in rhythm is an important factor in Western boxing. Triple blows are common in ABC. They may be thrown by first slipping to either the outside or inside and then delivering 2 body blows, followed by a blow to the head. The first 2 blows will bring down the adversary's guard, opening him up for the final thrust. Another version of the triple blow setup is known as the safety triple. The safety triple is a series of blows which have rhythm as their basis in punching first to the body and then to the head, or vice versa. The main thing to remember is that the last blow will be to the spot of the first blow. If the first blow is to the jaw, the last blow will also be to the jaw. Study also the 1-2 variations. Be exposed to the various passive combinations and be able to change the path during execution. Attack by drawing. The attack by drawing is an attack or counterattack initiated upon luring the opponent into a commitment by leaving him an apparent opening or executing movements that he may try to time and counter. Attack by drawing may make use of the previous 4 ways of attack. Study timing and the 8 basic defense positions. It's usually best, whenever possible, to draw your opponent into leading before hitting out on your own account. By forcing your opponent to commit himself to a decided step, you can be moderately certain of what he is about to do. His commitment will deprive him of the ability to change his position and guard swiftly enough to deal successfully with any offensive you may yourself adopt. By his more action of hitting out, you will or should secure an opening of sorts. You should make him present you with a fair target at which to aim. Most important of all, you will have borrowed some very considerable force from him to add to the power of your own counter. Remember, the whole secret of hard hitting lies in accurate timing, correct placement, and mental application. Keep your awareness and balance to attack after drawing his commitment by exposing a target to him, by forcing, closing with or without immobilization, slow or fast, and by feinting an attack that he will try to counter.
So that last part, feinting an attack that he would try to counter, that's kind of like drawing him in too, like faking him out, making him attack. And once he's committed to attack, then attack him.
Yeah. circle with no circumference. Jeet Kune ultimately is not a matter of petty technique, but of highly developed personal spirituality and physique. It is not a question of developing what has already been developed, but of recovering what has been left behind. These things have been with us, in us, all the time and have never been lost or distorted except by our misguided manipulation of them. Jeet Kune Do is not a matter of technology, but of spiritual insight and training. I like that because it's getting back to the spiritual now. There's a whole section, huge section of the book is all combative technique, but now he's going back to spiritual. So I like that first part. Ultimately, it's not a matter of petty technique, but of highly developed personal spirituality and physique. And I think that we embrace that in this school. We definitely appreciate the meditation and spirituality, and we put a high emphasis on physical fitness development. And then he's also talking about what we already have. Like, I think that I view it the same way. It's like we should naturally know how to fight, but it just gets distorted over time, just like what he said, distorted and manipulated. Like animals, every single animal, they just naturally know how to fight. Like, they don't go to schools and all that stuff. They just know it's in them, So whatever you have to do to survive, that's what you're gonna need to do. I mean, if there's a shootout, then your natural instinct to do is just to run, get cover. If you got a gun, then you might run, get cover, and then draw your firearm and shoot back. If you don't have a gun, then you need to do what you need to do at that moment. Now, if somebody's attacking you and trying to punch and kick you or wrestle with you, and you don't have any weapons, then you just have to fight back with what you naturally, what your body wants to naturally do to defend itself. And it should be in you, So, a lot of times when I train the kids, I'll just have them spar. It's very hard to just do it, and then see how they respond. And some kids are they're just more, it's more natural for them to defend themselves in certain ways, and other kids need certain special, more focus and training. But I think that's what a lot of us do is just kind of natural fighting. Like, we'll just have, if you really want to defend yourself, okay, then just spar and see what you can do. And then we work on the fitness, we work on the flexibility, work on meditation, and then all these techniques that we work on are just kind of like it's like a practice and experimentation and constant drilling, so you can see for yourself the effectiveness of it. So then you don't need to be convinced that it works. You kind of know that it works because you've done it over and over, and the outcome, and the outcome, the result, you've already seen it before your eyes. So you just, for example, just have your hands down all the time, and you don't guard your face, and you just keep getting smashed in the face all the time. It's kind of teaching you, well, if you have your hands up, you probably you'd be better off to defend yourself. The tools are at an undifferentiated center of a circle that has no circumference, moving and yet not moving, intention and yet relaxed, seeing everything happening and yet not at all anxious about its outcome, with nothing purposefully designed, nothing consciously calculated, no anticipation, no expectation, in short, standing innocently like a baby and yet with all the cunning, subterfuge, and keen intelligence of a fully matured mind. Moving yet not moving. So when you spar, don't move too much, but subtle movements are important as well. Intention and yet relaxed. Like you gotta do that in sparring. You can't be too tense, but then you can't be too relaxed like you're sleeping and lazy and you don't, you know. You gotta be attentive, but not too tense. Seeing everything happening and yet not at all anxious about its outcome. So just observe. Don't like freak out. Like just imagine, you know, you hear gunshots and then, you know, you go out there and you see what's going on. You see, you know, the suspect, or you see the person laying on the ground, dead body, or whatever. You just watch it, see it, but don't make too big of a deal of it, you know.
I like that last. Read that line again about not being too anxious about the outcome or something like that.
Seeing everything happening and yet not at all anxious about its outcome.
Yeah. I use that kind of concept in my therapy work. Because where a lot of anxiety comes from with people is fear of some event that doesn't even exist, like the outcome. People get really invested in some kind of an outcome, and it takes them out of the present moment because they're worried about, you know, the outcome. It's hard. If you can master that, that's pretty deep.
And I think a lot of sport fighters, that's one of their issues. It's because they're preparing to fight. Then they start envisioning, well, if I lose, now what everybody's going to think about me, you know? Like, everybody's going to think I'm a loser. Or if they think, oh, if I win, then this is going to happen. Like, there's just so much thinking into the future. He's saying, don't do that. You know, don't think about the future. You just have to respond to the moment. And that's all meditation right there.
Yeah, that's something what you all just commented on.
Yeah.
When you talking about sports and like you said, if people get anxious about the outcome, it gives me to think, like you said, about sports. Like they said, Bill Russell before, like big basketball games, he used to throw up in the locker room to where he did it so often, people would think something was wrong if he didn't. But I think psychologically, it just prepared him for like the game. Like okay, like he dealt with losing already psychologically, like throwing up and feeling all bad. So when you get out there, it's not even on your mind. You're not thinking about it. It's like dealing with death before it really comes. Like, all right, I'm ready.
Nothing purposely designed, nothing consciously calculated, no anticipation, no expectation. In short, standing innocently like a baby. And yet all cunning, subterfuge, and keen intelligence of a fully mature mind. I think that's one thing we can learn a lot from kids and, you know, like babies. Like I'm looking at my youngest, and like he's just so innocent, and like he's just so trusting and innocent, and then I'm like looking at him and just looking at like how fragile he is, you know, like any vicious person could just like take his life away, like no problem, you know. But then he doesn't even think about that because he just doesn't even know to think about that. He's just trusting in life, and that's innocence, you know. But yet he's still surviving. Like it's not like he needs to train in firearms or train with guns to protect himself. It's like the world is just protecting him. He's living, you know. Like people just see the innocence and they're just like, they don't want to hurt him. I mean, there are people out there that do, but he's still living. You know, and the same thing with women. It's like a lot of women don't even get involved in martial arts training. They don't have that testosterone energy to do all that. but yet they live longer than the men.
Mhm.
All the time, usually, you know. It's like we're the ones who, pretty much our ego, if we don't control it, it ends up killing us earlier than protecting us, you know. Like we do all this martial training. Oh, I'm good now. Okay, let me jump in the ring now. Let me fight, you know. And then you end up dying early because you couldn't control that urge to compete. But if you could just control it, then it could actually make you live longer than the woman, because you have the health and the fitness with meditation. But women, they don't they might not train in the martial arts, and they're just naturally more meditative, less competitive, and they live longer. I think if you could use the martial arts to get you to become less competitive, it'll help you live longer. But if it makes you more competitive, then it can really shave years off your life. And it doesn't have to be martial arts, it can be football or just anything like destructive to your body. Even bodybuilding, like taking it to extremes to get to certain standards will destroy your health. So I think that's a hard thing to do. Like I've even been contemplating it recently. Like you get really good at something, but then there's really nothing to do with it other than something dangerous, you know. And then you kind of have to put yourself in check and just not get involved with that stuff. Because it's not like playing chess where you can compete with somebody and it's all just, you're not hurting yourself when you play, or when you destroy somebody in chess in 10 seconds, you're not hurting them. You're hurting their ego maybe, their pride, but you're not like physically hurting them. But when you're talking about fighting, I mean, when you destroy somebody in 10 seconds, I mean, that you pretty much, their health is at risk. Yours might not be, but theirs is. And then eventually it's going to happen to you. You know, because, I mean, recently I've been looking at some of these boxing videos, and it's like a lot of them, like they say the greatest, Muhammad Ali, I mean, he beats up a bunch of people and then people end up beating up on him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a cycle. And then you pay for it, and then everybody that you destroyed during your time pay for it. It's like you're basically just killing each other, you know. I shoot you, you shoot me, and just keep shooting each other back and forth. But if you could take yourself out of that, but yet still train like a warrior, or train like to be strong and good, but you don't compete, then that's like the way to live longer. It's a hard thing to do though.
Especially in this society.
Yeah.
Everything competitive.
Yeah.
It seems like if you don't compete, somebody always jacking their jaw trying to get you. Like, I heard you really good, you know. Try to bring that out. It can be tough.
But I mean, like, fun little things like what you just did with the bench. Like, I got 9, alright, let him know. like, that's not, like, that bad, you know, like, or it does, like, yeah, number 2. You're like, alright. Let me up it up. Like, it's not bad, you know, you just gotta know how to do it, but especially with martial arts, it just get really out of hand, you know.
Once you start taking it personal, that's when it gets
Yeah.
having fun little competition, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it becomes personal. Just
It's like, alright, you got X6 now, what's up now?
Sorry, it's wrong test. That's it.
I mean, you know, folks can get, you know, really almost offended that you have stuff.
Yeah.
Why are you doing so well?
Take this shit personal.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, that's why the direction of the school, a lot of it is the energy with you two. It's like I feel a good balance with you guys, and I want to maintain that for the school for the long run. And that's, like I said, it's a very difficult thing. It's not like, but it's not like we don't do shit. You know, we come here, we train hard. It's not like we're lazy. But then you don't want to get too caught up in the competitiveness where you end up becoming enemies and you destroy each other, you know? Like that's not what it's about. Because even reading this book, I'm glad to be almost done. Because reading so much about the technique, because the thing is, he has other books, like a lot of other books, and I've read all of them pretty much, you know? And
I didn't know he had that much material. Wow.
yeah, he had a lot of books. I read all of them, and the overall theme of it is very spiritual. Like, there's a lot of technique, just like in this book. But a lot of times you get like overwhelmed with the technique, and you think that that's all it's about, and then you forget about the spiritual. And when I was reading the technique part of it, because there's so many techniques in here, you know. It kind of gets. I think it gets imbalanced because then you start becoming more focused on too much on the yang and the aggressiveness, and then it just kind of it imbalances you. So I'm kind of glad to almost be done with it, so I can like focus more on the spiritual again. Because I had, you know, we've been reading this book for a while. And then it just gets my mind to think about more and more the technique. But I want to get back to the spiritual after all this, you know.
I like the way it's kind of wrapping up.
Yeah.
The last couple of things. I mean, even notice how much it makes you slow down. When we haven't, through most of this, we haven't stopped too much.
Yeah.
Here and there, but just a couple lines there, it just really grounds, at least for me, it really grounds me again.
Because it started off with the spiritual, which I really enjoyed. But then the whole big chunk of the book, it was all technique. And now it seems to go back to the spiritual, which is nice. But I was getting uncomfortable with all that technique because it's just like, okay, I could practice this, I could get really, really, really good. But then where am I gonna go with it? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can't compete with it, can't do nothing with it. I mean, I don't mind getting good at it, but when I actually read this book over again, I can see why people are saying he's the father of MMA. Because they just basically just took the technique part, forgot about the spiritual, and then all it is just sparring. That's all that matters. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, man, like, I can see why they're why it's like that.
Seems like they just want just the meat, no, bread, no lettuce. Like, we don't want none of that. All meat.
I can see that, man, because I'm telling you, like, it's all the secrets in here, man. Every freaking thing, what to do and all this other shit, it's all up in here. You know, and I'm like, man, like, you can spend your whole life studying those techniques, just this one book, and this is all you pretty much need, you know.
I mean, it's complex, but rather yet simple. Like, it covers everything. It's not complex. It covers everything, but it's not complicated. You know, it's not a mess. It's simple. You know, he covers the counters. He makes everything very basic, which I think that's the most. I don't like using the word too often, but like geniuses do, they take something extremely complex and just break it down and make it simple.
Yeah.
It's not too far off from how Westerners take Eastern thought, philosophy, ideas, and they take the shit that they want from it, repackage it in MMA format or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, sell it back.
Yeah.
And suddenly that becomes the way.
Exactly. Because I was like, the first part, I really liked the first part, all the spiritual stuff. As I started getting the technique, I thought it was just getting too much. I'm like, damn, like, I didn't realize so much of this damn book is so much technique. And I'm like, maybe I gotta like, maybe Bruce is not really the person that I could even look towards into representing what I want to represent in the martial arts, you know?
Yeah.
But now that it's getting back to the spiritual, I feel a little bit better about it. But I think, like I said, I was mentioning Brandon, I think overall, like as I read all his books, if you look at the overall theme of all his books, it's very spiritual.
Yeah.
It's just that this book in particular, a big chunk of it is technique.
Yeah.
But if you read all his books, you'll feel more balance. Like maybe half technique and then half spiritual. But it's not like this book where like 75% of the book is technique, you know.
Yeah.
And then that's like I said, that's why I could see why a lot of MMA people be like, he's the father of MMA, because if they're only focusing on 75% of this book, and they forgot the other 25%, I could see, because that's all he's talking about is the sparring. He's talking about all sparring. He's not talking about form. He's not talking about none of that. He's just like, this is sparring. This is what you do. You know, like, this is how you beat him. It's like, dang, you know, like you could get lost in that.
Yeah.
And forget about it. Be like, oh, F the forms, F the lion dance, F the drumming. Like, none of that matters. None of that matters.
No, you don't know why you hitting me. You just hit.
You can see, like, this book, he doesn't even really talk about much about the fitness either. He's not even talking about, like, doing a bunch of push-ups and bench press and fitness techniques or stretching techniques. It's just all combat.
Yeah.
You know, but you gotta also realize that he died before this book was published, so they organized the book in this way. But you gotta put everything, all his writings into perspective.
Yeah.
And all his movies in perspective. And put it all together and just see what type of message you're getting from him. For me, I get more of a spiritual. I don't look at him like an MMA fighter, whereas other people could look at him. I see more than just the fighter. But like I said, if I didn't feel that way, I wouldn't even be using him as a source to kind of reinstill what I'm trying to do with the martial arts. But you know.
I did like it was interesting though, even though it was very heavy technique stuff. I did find fascinating the science behind it, like the way he was breaking it down kind of scientifically.
Yes.
It was really interesting.
Yeah, I think it is, you know, but, you know, I've been watching some, because a lot of his techniques, a big chunk of it, in the technical portions, a lot of it is boxing. Some of it is judo and wrestling, just a very small part of it. You can literally just point it out, the ground fighting parts. And then I can see a little bit of the Wing Chun stuff that he's talking about, but a lot of it is boxing. And then I've been watching some boxers more recently, and then I've sparred with a lot of boxers. And even Desmond texted me last night saying that he knows 3 guys that do boxing. He like did some stuff with them, and he just noticed like how effective what we do here against when you go up against a boxer that doesn't do what we do. But a lot of the stuff I can see so many like flaws in the methods of just if you just stick to boxing alone. But if you could take the good parts of it and then like apply it to street, and then the parts that are weak, you gotta fix it. And that's what Bruce was kind of doing. But I can see some parts of it just doesn't work. I mean, he can't like re-edit it. He can't like revise the book. So you kind of have to make your own revisions.
Yeah.
But there are techniques in here where he's showing, okay, you could do this, you could do that. But it actually wouldn't work on the street because a fight on the street is not so like controlled that way. So like even when I was watching boxing, I was watching like Frazier and Ali, for example. They're going like 15 rounds and shit, and then they get in there, and then they start hugging each other, and then they start pushing them away, they start hugging each other, pushing them away, and then finally somebody gets a shot in there. Like, that's not how a real fight is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, don't break it up.
Like it's just basically you get in there and then that's it. It's either it ends there or it goes to the ground and then it ends on the ground. I mean, it's just, that's how quick it happens. And
There's no rules.
yeah, because what I noticed with boxing as well, Mayweather does this a lot too, and a lot of fighters, they duck like this with their head down like that. Because in boxing you can't hit in the back of the head.
Right.
So then they put their, they go like this, because they know, okay, you can't hit me back here, you can't hit me in the back, so let me just do this all day. But in real fighting, they'll get destroyed.
Yeah.
You know, like knee strikes were going up there, they're like just putting their head down for like to get punted like with a kick, a front kick.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Punt their face up like that, you know, like flying knee to the head, to the face, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that, but then boxers, they're habitually trained to be that way, and then when you spar with them, they just do it, and then you don't realize that that's deadly. Like, you just stepped yourself into like death right there. Like even Wayne did it to me. He came in and he ducked my hook, but then he came right into the choke.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's real fighting. Like, you can't just duck your head down like. What though? Or you're not allowed to hit me in the back of the head. You're not allowed to knee strike me. You know what I'm saying? And then when you spar with them, they're just like all their hands are up here, their groin areas all right there, the kneecaps right all there, the shins are right up. You know, there's all these flaws, you know. But I mean, I acknowledge the good parts of what they can do, but there's clearly, like, a lot of the stuff is not necessary. Like, so. Even I see flaws in some of these teachings, like there's just like some there's just not too like there's too much, like it could be condensed, because there's a lot of techniques in there that you just don't even need to worry about in a street fight, because a lot of it in here, he's like watching Muhammad Ali or whatever boxer he's watching, and he's like analyzing their techniques and putting it in here. But once again, he didn't even put together this published book. Somebody else just put it together for him.
Yeah.
So he wasn't even there. It's almost like having a movie where there's no editing and then you see like 10 hours of the film,
Right.
rather than condensing it up to like 2 hours.
Right.
That's pretty much what happened here. It's like a lot of the techniques are just not even necessary, because a fight on the street is not so clean and regulated the way that it is in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Where you have time to do slipping this way, ducking that. Like, it's not gonna be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't happen like that. You know. But I mean, I think, honestly, I think this is more than enough that you need. Like, it stays here or just condenses. It will condense. You know, because it's just if you train for street combat, but I'm telling you, like, the lot of the answers are all up in here, but you gotta know how to interpret it, because it's not like a video where you just watch him doing it. Like, he's just using certain terminologies, and you have to kind of know what he's talking about. But yeah. Next part, leave sagehood behind and enter once more into ordinary humanity. After coming to understand the other side, come back and live on this side. After the cultivation of no cultivation, one's thoughts continue to be detached from phenomenal things, and one still remains amid the phenomenal, yet devoid of the phenomenal. Yeah, I really like that part too. Like, this part, as far as what we just read right now, these 3 paragraphs, it's very spiritual. He's going back to Zen and meditation, and this is the stuff that Osho talks about too. Like, leave sagehood behind and enter once more into ordinary humanity. And we kind of talked about the African thing, like, you go to Africa and you're like, man, like so spiritual here. Let me just stay here. You know what I'm saying? Like, move here, my business here. But you're like, wait a minute, no, I gotta go back. You know, like there's. It's just like the monk, or like the sage who goes to the mountains and never comes back. Well, he goes to the mountains. How the hell is he gonna help people? You know what I'm saying? That aren't in the mountains. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that's a temptation for a lot of people that go to spiritual route. They'd be like, you know, let me just forget the whole society and just move away.
Yeah, it's like running away almost.
Yeah,
Like running away.
yeah. But they're saying, okay, you know, like get there, but then come back, you know. Osho has the same teachings, you know. He's like, you know, he's not about like, oh, you know, moving away and just, no, it's like he's saying like, be within the world, but then be spiritual within this world, you know. After coming to understand the other side, come back and live on this side. You know, so like you go to Africa, you get the spiritual experience, and you come back into Howard Street and share that experience with this community.
Jungle
You know what I'm saying? I feel that that's what the school's here for, man. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, if we all move out of here, then what the hell's left? You know what I mean? Like, this place needs us here more than anything. You know what I mean? Like, bringing that spiritualness to this community is extremely important. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that last statement you just made.
yeah.
I'm reading this book on Dr. King. They took a bunch of his writings and they tried to sell it as an autobiography. Of course it's not, but it's all like speeches and stuff he wrote. And basically he came to a time in his life where he was in college and he was getting offers to become, you know, a pastor of a church or a teacher. And he was thinking about going into, you know, doing education. Whether he would have worked, you know, in the northern part of the states or the southern part of the states, and he felt like you said, you get all this knowledge and experience, and he felt obligated to come back to the south and, you know, become a pastor there. So in a way, it kind of changed history.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point? I mean, you know, okay, yeah, that's great, go up in a mountain and whatnot and chill, but what's the point? You know, if you can't, if you're not serving somehow, you know, or giving back, you know, I don't know. You're tired. I remember traveling at some point, you know, because I definitely had those thoughts, like I was saying earlier today. You know, fuck America, I'm just gonna chill here. I got everything I need here, but there's something was just calling me back, you know. Then I came back, started a business in the community and working with kids, and kind of went from there. But to me, it's always about like sharing the gifts, sharing the knowledge, the wisdom. You know.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I don't know, something drives me to do it because it was Bruce who introduced me to Eastern philosophy, and ever since I got introduced to it, I just kept studying and I love it, and it just transformed me. It's like I said, I didn't move to another country to get that experience. I got it from the books actually, you know, like those books provided that spiritual insight and that experience to kind of get me to see the world in a different way, see myself in a different way. And ever since then, it's always been a part of my motivation to share that through the martial arts. And it's never changed. I just feel this big part of what I do is to share that experience with other people through some of my work or my teachings. I don't know, I think people that go through that experience, there's something bigger, some type of driving force that's making them do what they do, you know. Yeah. You know, I know there's a lot of people that do music, and they do it with their music. Like they have some type of spirituality to them, and then they put it into their music, and then it could essentially almost transform people where not everybody's gonna be able to go to another country, but if they listen to a certain track, it could like reach out to them a certain way, and then it really does transform them. Like they're not the same anymore. Or it could be a movie that somebody directs that has a big imprint in somebody's mind and way of thinking, and then it just changes them, you know.
Yeah, one of the things that drew me to the school wasn't so much that it was a martial arts school. The big part of it was like where it was. I'm like, what? When I first saw it, like the images, I don't remember when I saw it. I remember seeing it before I actually joined, but it stood out to me like, man, this is Howard Street? This cat must be crazy. Yeah, because even a few years ago, it's gotten a little better over here, but it's always been a little shady, as we all know. But
Yeah.
you know, there was something about that was appealing. It's like, oh shit, let's see what the hell these guys going on. But it's just about, you know, being embedded in a community where this kind of energy is needed. Like,
Yeah.
where else are they gonna get this shit?
Yeah.
Even if they don't join, it's just
Yeah.
the fact that it's here, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that a lot from people where they walk by, even though they didn't join, they appreciate me being here, you know. And I just feel right here. I mean, it's right next to the train. There's a lot of drive-by traffic and the foot traffic, and it's right next to the lake. It's not too far from like the core of the Chicago. And I like it rough, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I like the people that come in here too. It's like they're more down to earth. They're not like those. They feel like those privileged type. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
where it's like everything's gotta be like catered to them. Or, you know,
Right.
grab my towel. You know, give me a foot massage. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'll whoop your ass.
You give me a time.
Like I can never see myself opening a business in like a privileged area where where everything's serving them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like where the hell's the kung fu in that? You know what I'm saying? Like where's my belt type shit? You know what I'm saying? You know, like I think martial arts is meant to be for the people that are like, I guess maybe going through struggles in life, you know. It's not meant for like, just like a regular, like a massage parlor or some shit like that. It's not like just a service thing. It's supposed to be giving you like an inner change, a spiritual experience. So.
This place is definitely a diamond in the dirt. Like all this mud, like what's this doing?
Oasis in the desert.
Right. There's a big old waterfall.
Everything else is dry.
But yeah, I think, you know, it's such a small school. Like I said, I think you guys being here makes a big difference, and know that the energy is needed, really much needed, and it takes time to build it. Like even with my kids, you know, like every one of my kids and my family, we want to try to build like a positive energy force within this community and just kind of represent the martial arts. And I keep, you know, there's so few people out there that are represented the way of which I think it should be. And I always turn to Bruce Lee, you know, as somebody that I could use to connect with other people. And I'm glad that he's getting back to the spiritual in his own words at the end. So then it's not like getting people to get lost in the technique once again. Because it could be very easy to get lost in it all. You start reading it, man, let me test this stuff out, man. you, go ahead. Does this work?
Go ahead and say that. Where we going? We experiment.
lost up with all that, man. But we need to retain that spiritualness as we train the technique to get that balance. Okay, what you guys want to focus on for the last 30 minutes?
You know, since Desmond has been Phoenix. You know, Shazzy's been gone for a couple of days. All of a sudden, you know, we got